I love it. Does it help you work? Get close to me.
It's pretty close.
Like 3/4. There we go.
3/4.
We haven't done one of this before.
Well, we
So like going like this and then like that and then that
and then that.
and then that.
Yeah.
Welcome back. First of all, to another episode of the Murph and Mitise show.
You ready? Let's go.
This is a special one because this is our first official Zoom interview.
We did one between the two of us.
We did one between the two of us,
we
but now we actually did. When we got together, did an interview.
Third party.
Made it all work, and I think it goes well. So.
I think it was epic, actually.
It was fucking crazy, man. It was so good. I didn't talk for like 40 minutes, which was weird. I was like, I'm not talking. Murph guided
I felt we just
guiding it.
Yeah.
I loved it. I was like, step back.
Yep.
So in this episode we've got Matthew Hodgson from the Brisbane Bullets. Well, currently free agent.
Currently free agent. AKA, I was going to say, AKA Hodgie.
AKA Hodgie.
For those who don't know, Matthew Hodgson.
Yep. And this is a special one because not just because of the Zoom version, but we actually have done an interview with Hodgie before when he was in town, and I'm pretty sure I fucked up the putting it together, and we didn't actually get it out because we thought we'd lost it. But hopefully you enjoy this one. We cover a lot of topics. We cover mindset, mindfulness, what he thinks of The Last Dance, the Jordan documentary, a whole bunch of stuff. So
It's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. Enjoy. We're about to go into it right now.
G'day boys, how you going?
Oh, you got the guns out today, mate.
Yeah, fucking oath. But I got the hat on because my hair's an absolute shocker at this stage.
That's right. I've got a hat on. I've got no hair.
Yeah. I was going to say it's not worse than yours, Murph, but it's up there.
I guess it's nice living in Brisbane with sunshine all the time, right?
Oh, it's fucking unreal. Like, yeah, it gets a little bit like first world problems, but like it's cold in like the early stages of the morning and then obviously get into the night. So you wake up, you're like, all right, then put some warm clothes on. And as the day progresses, you're like, fuck, now it's getting too hot. So you got to take that off. And then as it progresses again, you got to, so there's no consistency like there is in Adelaide where it's just, like during this stage, I'm guessing for you guys, it's brutally cold all the way through, right?
At the moment, it's all over the place.
Okay, so that's good.
We're going from, I reckon we were like 16 last week to 22 today to, at the moment it's sunshine. There's meant to be a storm later on, so Adelaide's a bit all over the shop at the moment.
Okay, well shit.
It's a bit
it'll get colder, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, absolutely. How you been, man?
Yeah. Good, man. I mean, yeah, like obviously there's a lot of shit going on as we all sort of know, but so just sort of navigating through that. But man, otherwise like still that stuff's pretty good. Like at least there's probably going to be in a league next year with the NBL, and yeah, like, and I'm actually back at school, so it's just a regular off season this time. It's just obviously contract disputes and all that sort of shit. But
yeah, we hope that happen.
Yeah, man. Just sort of needed a bit more time, like 2 weeks to me. So they sort of made the announcement that the cuts would be happening, which is fair enough, but they gave us 2 weeks, only 2 weeks to sort of opt into it. So I just didn't think that 2 weeks was enough time to sort of really get the best, survey your options and make the best informed decision possible. So that's why I opted out. So still have a look around, but there's no sort of guarantees of anything. So it's not officially done with the Bullets at this stage. So that's what the report was sort of weird because it sort of came out by the Bullets now thanking me for like the last 2 years, but it's sort of to me that. What's that?
Bit premature.
Yeah, that's what I think. I mean, it's just shittily reported, unless that the Bulls are planning on getting rid of me, which they haven't told me yet. So yeah, I just didn't think it was reported well because now I'm just getting a lot of people hitting me up just saying, "Oh man, like you're done with the Bullets, like what's going on?" Rah. It's like no, like that's not actually the case at all. I'm just trying to make the right decision. I just need more time to do it. I just think being forced to make a decision in 2 weeks that's as big as this one is a smart thing to do. So that's why I opted out.
Well, I can safely say I've been training DJ and Mitise over this crazy period, and both of them are saying maybe we should try and get Hodgie back over in Adelaide.
Honestly, man, like I've talked about with Cash, I was like, what if we just ended up back in Adelaide again? Like, we could do that. Like,
We'll have you
I
back.
think the new coach, yeah, that'd be fine. I think the new coach would like me a lot more than Joey did. So that, yeah, so I think it'd work out, man.
Well, let's not get to too many sore spots, eh?
No, man, like me, no, like it's the reality of the situation, man. But yeah, me and Joey are fine, but yeah, I just think that I'd probably play a bit more than I would obviously with him, just because of the style difference, the style of game. So
We'll go with that. We'll go with this. Just the style was different.
yeah, style different.
You say you're back at school. What are you doing?
Honours, man. So I'm doing my postgraduate for psychology. So this is a 1.5 year course. I just started this last week. So it's been tough, man. Like, so we're doing it's all well and good now, but doing statistics is like the first course of it. Then it's obviously starts to get into the media part of actual psychology. But it's only like each semester is like teaching periods for this, so it's like 6 weeks, so it moves really fast. I'm in the first week now, so it's looking fine, but I know that it's just going to snowball, and the workload just become ridiculous, and it's going to get pretty tough, pretty advanced. So looking forward to it, and I've got a lot of time to do stuff. So it's been good, man. So I've sort of forgotten what it's like to be a student again, and quite enjoy it. I've found it's like giving a good balance too, where I'm able to still get all my workouts in and everything like that, and still do what I need to do. But just during that down period where, like as an NBL player and other pro athletes, there's so much spare time that you have, like able to actually do something productive for the next stage of life after that has been really good.
Yeah, well, that's something a lot of athletes don't think about, is it? They're so focused on the now and enjoying the now and taking advantage of the now, but now doesn't always last. There's going to be a future at some point. You got to be prepared for that.
Yeah, man, that was exactly it. Like, it took me like a little bit to see that, but it came through experience for me. It just, when you're in pro sports and then you get obviously introduced to people that were athletes before and they're in the next stage of their lives, and no matter how much money they made, they still have to do something. And you see the guys that didn't have a plan, like they flounder for a fair few years, man. It really struggles and it takes a hit to their identity. I mean, that sort of part's going to be inevitable, where you're so used to being the basketball player that when it's done, like your identity's a bit mixed up. If you have something that you've sort of come to terms with and accept that you're going to move into, it sort of softens that blow a little bit. And that's what I've sort of seen from guys that have done that. They've had a plan, and then towards the back end of their career, they work into that. They seem a lot more happier and at peace with themselves and their life in general than the guys that were just obsessed with basketball. As soon as that end, they're fucking like head swiveling around. They don't know what to do next, you know?
Yep. Do you think your studies has helped you come to this realization, like going through your psychology degree? Do you think you're a bit more, switched on to be able to figure that out earlier while you're still in your pro career? You still got a few years left, or maybe a lot more than a few years left.
Yeah. Hopefully a few more of that. Yeah.
Do you think that you're going to attribute to having that study, having that knowledge already, to be able to look forward a bit more?
Yeah, definitely, man. I just think it puts it in perspective. Like, I love basketball. I work my ass off at it, and I really, really enjoy it. But there's just things that are going to last longer than it. So doing this sort of stuff it puts it in perspective a lot more. And obviously, in the field of psychology, you're much more aware of your own thinking processes because that's what you're actively studying, So that's definitely helping massively. It's also just helped me with the patience of just the studying alone. It's just helped me with the patience of this decision with the opt-out and waiting to see options and stuff, because there's so much uncertainty. At least I know that if it all goes, for whatever reason, and this is definitely not going to happen, but if all goes bad and this was my last year in basketball or whatever, I'm not able to get a job anywhere or anything like that, like I'm sort of at peace with it because I've got something else that I can sort of move into, So that's the cool part about going through this psychology route, and obviously through continuing the education for it as well.
Yep. What do you like as a student? Do you reckon you'd be able to, like, especially as an external student, do you reckon you'd be able to find time and commit to certain time slots to be able to get your work done, or are you going to be like a procrastinator, last minute cram and get it?
I've always been a pretty good student, man. So like I'm all for I always need to be doing something. So I hate, like, before I started school, I was awake over this off season. Like I'd make sure I'd smash my workouts and make sure I did the right things in there. But then I had so much downtime through that I always be trying to find something to do. So I was making origami for a while there. I was really fucking bad at it. I was going for walks just to like actually get out and do something. Obviously the weather's so beautiful up here most of the time, so
Yeah, rub it in, mate.
yeah. So yeah, sorry guys, but I've always been a good student with that, and that if I'm not, I'll always have pretty good balance. So like I'll be studying like a fair bit during the day. I don't mind doing it. I actually enjoy doing it because I feel just mentally stimulated. And after being an athlete for the last 6 years, to actually have that sort of different level of mental stimulation every day, it's like been actually really, really fun for me. So it's not exactly the work's not, it's not like I'm coming myself every time where I'm doing studying, but I'm enjoying the fact that I have a different facet of life that I'm able to do. So that means that I'm able to balance things out pretty well.
Yeah, good change of gear for you to sort of take it back a little bit physically and recharge mentally.
For sure, man. I mean, I think it's healthy for performance too. Really, like you see, like I'm predicting the future. Like say I'm back in the NBL, wherever I'm at. Like if you go on the road games, you take your laptop, you're able to put headphones in, you're studying and stuff like that, and it's a welcome distraction and stops you from overthinking. I think for people like myself who tend to overthink a bit too much, having stuff like that helps performance because I'm not allowing myself so much downtime just for thoughts to run around and me to try to outthink my way in the better performance. It's more just like you trust yourself and you have to do the study, then oh shit, that's the time to get up and practice. Like you sort of, it's like an element of trust in yourself that I think is healthy for people like me who tend to overthink.
Yep. Very good. It's good, man. It's good. Again, it's one of those things that, again, you've realized that probably from previous studies or experience even that you realize you need that. And I guess really everyone needs it, especially athletes who, I'm sure it's not just you that overthinks games or practice or whatever else. You need that sort of distraction to just cut off from the sports world, focus on something different, and then refocus back on a sport. Just give your brain that bit of a break to be able to recharge and get back into something else.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, so I mean, I could have said it better myself. That was actually a nice, short, succinct way of saying what I've just been trying to say for the last like 5 minutes. So it was good.
That's my years of practice.
Yeah.
I think last time we spoke, you were looking at doing a blog, right?
Yeah, so I did start that. Got that online. It just wasn't, as I was doing, I was sort of writing and stuff like that. It just wasn't, it's funny, I sort of got to the point where I was like, I don't know if I really have enough expertise of this to be giving out advice. So it was something I sort of discontinued in the fact that it just didn't feel right when I was writing it and putting it on there. I was like, I don't think I'm quite qualified enough to be giving the advice that I'm giving at this stage. I think that day will come. I just think I need a bit more time. I think I was trying to rush that. So I discontinued that. I don't know if that makes any sense to you guys. I'm not sure if it will or whatever it is. I just didn't feel like that. I was doing it. That was great, but I just don't think it's the right time. And I think I more wanted to do that born out of the fact that I had so much spare time that I wanted to do something with that time. That's why the study's been obviously fantastic for me because something that's actually going to build towards something. But like I said, I do think that I'll continue that. I just think I need more. Basically, even though I'm 28, like I do think that there's still more to do in my sporting career, which then gives me better credentials to basically give advice to people.
One thing you just mentioned there, sort of indirectly, was how you feel you're not qualified to do that, even though you are qualified to do that. You've got your degree.
Experience, basically.
He feels he doesn't have the experience yet. So he's got he's got a qualification, he's got his degree in psychology, he's doing his honours in psychology, yet doesn't feel he's actually qualified to give the advice or give his 2 cents in the psychology world because, as you say, you haven't been through all your sporting career. You haven't done enough yet to be able to give advice or give opinions, which is what so many people don't do. They sort of walk out of going, I know everything. I'm King Dick now because I've done my degree. Now let's give all the information that I can.
Yeah.
Hodgie's seen, well, I'm not. I don't know everything. I've still got things to learn. I've still got things to understand.
Okay.
And then I can start to give advice.
Forgive my ignorance. What was the blog you were writing, and what advice were you providing? You know what I mean? Like, what was it on?
So a lot of it was geared towards younger athletes trying to sort of come up. And I found myself, as I was writing, talking about a lot of sort of psychological aspects, and obviously stuff that I went with. So a lot of it was anecdotal, but I noticed when I was writing, when I was writing stuff, I was like, man, like there's some stuff here that probably needs like good scientific backing behind it. It's not just anecdotal experience, and this is just because this is how I've experienced it, that's how everyone else is going to experience it. There's so many different facets to it. So I was speaking from my own experience, which helps like a small niche of people that struggle with the same thing, which is great. And I do think that niche marketing and working towards people that are like you is needed. But if I was trying to reach like younger athletes that just in a bit more broader scale, I'm going to need a bit more time to sort of think about this. And I'm going to have to be able to learn more about what goes on in other people's experiences and what science says as well, and have it in a mix. Because I think obviously the best sort of opinion posts or podcasts or whatever, I think they're a good mix of anecdotal and science-based. I think you need a good mix. At that stage, all I had was anecdotal. So continuing with the psychology study and stuff like that gives me more of a science base, because I'm able to do a bit more post-grad work on that, and then my thesis can even sort of hone in on that more. So my research project, the thesis can actually be geared towards the audience that I'm trying to reach. Therefore, I'm going to have a little bit more knowledge about it when I decide to sort of go back into it again.
Yep, that makes sense. Yeah,
very cool.
Which is huge.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's funny because I saw the just before, because I was going through the Murph, obviously your website, Murph, and saw you guys had a podcast about something like this, right? About people that basically come into the strength and conditioning industry and just say, oh, this is the way to do it. And yeah, because I love talking about this, because I love the strength and conditioning industry.
Let's go deep, man. Let's do it.
Yeah. And you guys would see a ton of that yourself, obviously, right? Like.
Yeah, absolutely. We just saw there's an ad on Facebook going around at the moment, which is horrendous. It's about, I don't know the name of the company, and I probably shouldn't say it anyway, but there's a certain company out there that's promoting doing a PT course in 3 months. And the guy that's on there is some
there's an image, the ad is like this image, and it's got the details on it. So the image is, and then...
Yeah, the image is this big, massive, roided, tattooed dude, tattoos all up his face and all over his arms, and there's this ripped up girl who looks like she's maybe potentially had a bit of juice and Barbie over her time, and that's now personal training. But so people are going to do this 3-month course, get a face tattoo, and try and give someone an exercise program.
Did you go through the episode when we talked about it?
No, I haven't seen, because I looked it up today, so I was like, fuck, that's some good viewers, and I'm gonna.
It's so prevalent in our industry that you can do your 3-month course, or you can do even like your 3-year degree, and come out and then assume, because you've come out of this degree and you've done multiple work experience with like old people and then younger people and then athletes, whatever it may be, that you actually know and are fully qualified to talk about everything and provide all your advice. Whereas I'm 13 years in, you're 15 years in, and we still don't feel like we know everything. You know what I mean? Like we're only still scratching the surface on elite performance now, and it's like, we look to guys, I look to guys who are 20, 30 years in, still providing, that kind of stuff. And it's I found it very rare that in our industry, people can check themselves. Like you check yourself and I'm putting stuff out now, but I'm not qualified to do this. I don't feel comfortable, take it back down. Whereas like a lot of people here will put stuff out and then just vehemently back it no matter what comes up. And if you say something about it, which is my MO, I'll say something about it, but then, oh, you're a hater, I can't believe you're doing this, blah, blah, blah. I was like, hang on a second. We're just calling you out on what you're saying, and then you can't back it up. You know what I mean? So it's refreshing to hear that. I think.
For sure, man, because it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because you've got to obviously have confidence in yourself, and you've got to think that, like, I sort of know what I'm doing, but at the same time, you've also got to understand that there's no substitute for time in the game, experience. Experience is the best teacher. And during that time, obviously too, you're learning off other people and your viewpoints. I'm sure you guys have been in for obviously 10 plus years. You said 13 years. Like your viewpoints on things have obviously probably changed and shifted during that time and evolved. You know, so it's a tough one, man. And I see that a lot in the strength conditioning industry as well. And I respect guys like you that are able to come out and like been in the game for a long time, but still find a way to put out good content as well, and then hopefully admit, like, yeah, we still feel like we're learning too. We don't have all the answers, but that's really cool. So that's what the point that I got to with the blog. Like, I don't have all the answers, so I'm never ever going to have all the answers because I'm human. Yeah, no one's going to have all the answers, but I'm going to be able to have better answers than I do right now. I think right now it's disingenuous to promote something about myself that it's not actually the best I could really do at this point, you know?
Yep. No, very good.
I mean, I got a submission form. I got hit up from this company, Rookie or something like that, on Instagram. Their thing is they want to give guys access to professional athletes workouts, which on surface, that's like, oh, that's cool. But in reality, it's like the workouts professional athletes do are not applicable for workouts the general population do. Everything's so specific and individualized, and they're asking me to put out they said, you know, what's a sample work? And I was really just putting in my philosophy behind workouts. Like, look, this is what I want to do. And then I got hit up from them before just saying, all right, we need like an actual like tangible workout that you want to release to the public. And I was like, no, I can't do that, man. I can't give them the public a workout or something I do, because for one, not mine. This is stuff that I've learned from other people. And two, it's like, I'm not an expert in this industry. So how am I I don't want to feed into that bullshit culture where people are just putting stuff out just because they want to promote themselves.
We don't want to have to do a podcast about what you're putting out. We don't want to do that.
we don't want to call you out.
We don't want to do that.
Yeah, so just making sure I'm safe before, thankfully. But I'm really happy that you guys are like that as well. And I think a lot of good professionals in their industries are like that. You find the people that have the most expertise is sort of the most people that don't hold on to values as tightly as other people do. Does that make sense? Yeah, they're willing to be fluid and understand that they don't have all the answers, and they're going to learn a whole lot no matter how much experience they've had. And even though that their performance, everything's better than so much more of the other population in their field, they're still perpetual learners, you know? So
how have you found all this, with your experience now? I mean, you've been in Brisbane for what, 2 years? 2 years, yeah. 2 years. Obviously, I've watched you play a little bit, especially when Sixers played you. How have you guys asked for the last 2 years? Fuck me. I can't remember having a bad game in Adelaide. I've absolutely torched you guys in Adelaide.
There was one game when I was in the crowd, and I think you hit a couple of shots to finish the game off, and I was like, "Oh shit!" After our last one.
Yeah. I think against Adelaide the last 2 years, I've like averaged basically double. I've kicked you guys' ass the last 2 years. Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, no.
I knew we should have gone radio. No, I was a fan.
Well, it's just a home game, man. Like, I'd come back, especially the first year at TSA. It's like, I'm not scared of this. Like, this is a home game, you know? Like, I'm more comfortable here than I look forward to the games in Adelaide more than I look forward to the games at the convention centre, because I'm like, well, at least there's a crowd here. Like, and I'm used to this sort of energy. Like.
Anyway, moving on from that.
Right. Yeah, sorry.
Back to my point, which I think I've lost. But no. 2 years. So, 2 years experience from when I used to coach you and used to play for the Sixers. Yeah. How has that extra 2 years helped you psychologically get through games? So you said you talk yourself too much, you overthink things. So in that 2 years, how have you managed to change that? How have you managed to
adapt?
Yeah, definitely have. Like, these last 2 years have been by far and away the best I've performed in my career, especially this last year. So I've had career best. Yeah, I've had career best years for 2 years consecutively. So that's and a lot of that, like, obviously different styles. So like, it wasn't as super fast paced. It's funny is that when I got to Brisbane, I was actually got into the condition where I could play at that tempo. But so it's obvious there's a number of factors in there, but a massive one was definitely the mental side of the game. That's where I sort of come ahead leaps and bounds, and I outsourced that, man. Like I knew I needed help with that, so I hired a mental skills coach and sort of I talked to him. Like I had two different ones. I had one for the first year, and it was actually a guy down in Adelaide, Dean Evans, who used to work with the Sixers. So I worked with him during the off season and a little bit during the season of the first year, and that was super helpful, really helpful, helped change the mind. Then I wanted something a bit more hands-on. So there's a guy up here in Brisbane, Amon Wolf, who with Collective Minds, actually the guy he was with the Crows at one stage, and he was actually the guy with the Crows when they had all that crazy shit with the cans. So that was that guy. Yeah. So I got So So I worked with him. He's been awesome over the last year. So and he's like, I speak to him once a week. He'll text me like every few days, like and go over stuff. Like after every game, he's checking in, like to have standards and stuff like that, and obviously giving me mental skills too to sort of combat that overthinking, or help me at least develop them. So that's been the biggest improvement in my game has really just been I'm allowing myself to do the things that I'm physically capable of doing. And obviously that's what the work that I've put into that aspect of the game. But I've needed help for that, and that's exactly why I outsourced that and hired my own guy to do it.
Are you able to maybe give us a bit of a hint on what some of the things you
I like it's simple shit, man. Like, so he's got a rapid reset model, and that's been good. So, but the big part for me that was developed was just basically developing my sort of personal philosophy and the type of person I want to be. So who I want to become. So during last year, I had 3 standards that I lived by. That was courageous, confident, and trusting. And within those 3 standards, there were 3 mini actions through there, right? So for confident, let's say it was speak to Marty. So Marty is a guy that was a coach that I called, who was actually my self-talk, right? So if shit was going wrong, I'd be like, in my head, fuck, what you got for me, Marty? So then I'd act like Marty was a coach in my head that would give me self-talk to sort of get myself out of hairy situations. For present, like be here, like, so during a game, if like I came to the bench and I just had, a stanza on the court where I had 3-4 minutes where I didn't do much, or I got in foul trouble, which happened a lot, or, something like that happened, I could come to the bench instead of, and my tendency obviously to overthink things and think into the future where, this is going to be another bad game if I let that sort of happen, or travel to the past where, things like that had happened early in my career. So I sort of go back to that and allow myself to sort of feel that same, has a drop in energy. I feel the same sort of emotions I felt there, but so it just get me to do something to stay here. So I'd have to sit there, close my eyes. I even put a towel over my head, stuff like that, just like take some deep breaths and sort of get back to being right here in the moment. So it's basically he's basically holding me accountable to being the person I said I wanted to become, and making sure that I was doing the little actions that added up to that. So that was probably, for me, was the biggest help for me to basically just stay in the present and be a bit more courageous and take some more chances out on the court and stuff like that. So it's slow, and the progress is obviously, it's like the stock market, it drops and it continues to come up, and it's not just linear sort of progression, but over the past 2 years now, I've been able to do some things that at the start of my career I didn't think I was able to do, or I wasn't able to do on a consistent basis anyway.
That's cool. Very cool. You're switched on man, Hodgie, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, just like everyone's got weaknesses, or they've got places they need to work on. So like, you can take pride, be like, I'm just going to work on that myself, and that's great. And you need that attitude, but at the same time, it's like I'm also going to need help from others to show me how to do it. And eventually, like, I'm trying to get to the point where he becomes unnecessary. Like, I don't need him anymore. So he's there for part of the journey, and then we sort of move on. And I think as a good professional, like you guys too, for being strength conditioning coaches, or like, you want your clients to get to the point where they're that good that they basically are able to look after themselves, right? They're able to make healthy choices for the rest of their life and train the right way and do that. And by doing that, you'll actually get more business because through word of mouth, and fact you guys are good. You know, you guys are there for part of people's journey. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, that's sort of where it's at for me as well.
Would you say you take on, when you're working with those guys, do you take on some things that they do with you and look at them more from your psychological perspective as well as the athlete that's involved? And how would you then look at implementing that in helping others?
Yeah, bro, it's perfect. That's exactly like while I'm working on this guy, like while I'm doing it, I'm like asking about how he's run his business and the challenges of that, and obviously talking to him about what happened with the Crows and how he managed to build himself back up from that and all sorts of stuff. And the stuff that he does, thinking about, okay, well, I'm putting this in the bank for when I become a psychologist. And if I want to go down this route of helping, because it's not just obviously athletes who work, because working with athletes is awesome, but if you got a business space, like if that's a small market, right? Like you got to be realistic enough to know that you're going to have to work with either general population, corporates, or people like that, you know, defense forces. Like he works with a whole range of different, not even athletes, but just people in general. So it's opened my eyes. Like I ask him a lot about how to work with corporate and what he does with that, because when my career in basketball's done, I want to do organizational psychology, and I want to move into doing that in the corporate world. And there's a bunch of different things you can do for that. You can do, you know, resilience workshops. You can do stuff basically to help corporate. You can be a consultant to help corporations hire the right people for jobs. Like there's a million different things you can do in there. So I'm just picking his brain about working with the corporate and what their mindset's like, what do you exactly do with it, and how you help their performance, so that when I get to that point in my career, I've had at least, it's almost mentorship, you know. So I'm paying this guy to help me perform better, but I'm also, so that's one return on investment's great because I'm performing better, earning more money. And then I also get to know, okay, so when my next stage, I got mentoring to help me for the next stage of my career afterwards. So it's been awesome. It's been like a twofold sort of success.
I'm interested in from the Crow side, there's a lot of stuff down here on the Crow side things, right? I'm not interested in any of the shit that happened with them. From talking to him then, what was his mindset like at that time? Because there's a lot of media around how bad this company is, blah, blah, blah. This is why the Crows are shit this year, whatever, right?
Yeah.
How did he then respond to that up there? Because we didn't hear any of that, you know what I mean? Like, what was his mindset? Because that's a pretty fucking rough hit to take to your brand.
Yeah, well, this is like, he sort of looked at it as like, this is the perfect way for me to validate my message and what I do, apply it to what you know, to this current situation that he's facing, which is obviously massive media backlash, public opinion about his company that obviously they didn't know anything about beforehand, and now they're getting information from the media, so then like massive amounts of public disapproval. So he's able to use his message to sort of reinforce that, yep, this is the right way of doing things, and this is how I can help future people through his experience. So he's been really honest with me about what happened about that, and talking about, so, you know, we talked about just before, I said, you know, I was speaking to Marty, like the self-talk and stuff like that. So he said him and his business partner had to do a media conference like in Melbourne, and so he walked into the room and there's just like media everywhere, like 100 or so people, because obviously it's about AFL, it's in Melbourne, so it's a huge media story. So just about 100 or so reporters in there sitting down, and he knows he's about to get grilled, like answering a whole bunch of questions and things like that. So during that time, he was saying, you know, I can't remember what the name of his coach was, but he was asking him, you know, what he got for me, like, you know, and helping him through those points so that he wasn't going to get too emotional or too depressed or anything like that during it. So, and then building back up from that is just through radical honesty, man. Like one of his standards is honesty in every moment. So any question I asked him about it, because it didn't really worry me, because I didn't really give a fuck about it, what happened with the Crows or anything like that. But,
I think we didn't accept the Crows.
But anything that anytime I've been with him, we've been around people asking about, he's just been honest about it, man. He hasn't hid from it. And that's one of the things I respected about him and how he's handled it. And that's why I think he's been successful afterwards as well, is that he's never hid from it. It's been an obstacle that he's made a part of him, and that he's been able to sort of share his experiences from. And he's not vulnerable by it. You know, it's not like a deep dark secret that he's trying to hide and make sure no one ever finds out about. So it becomes a source of power for him. You know.
Yeah, that's huge. That's awesome because, like I said, we heard a lot of stuff back here, but
no, it's all media.
It's all media.
Yeah. But I mean, there may be elements of it that are true, and like maybe he did, like, you know, do the wrong things, and there's things that I'm sure he probably regrets. I don't know because I never personally asked him, like, because like I said, I just didn't care. Like I was like, can you help me? Yeah, I can. This is what I can do. This is what I've done before. All right, cool. Let's do it. Like,
but that's
what fuck about.
You know, he's practicing his own putting out. You know what I mean? Like that's massive. And the radical honesty is huge as well. That's a big thing that's come for me personally over the last, well, definitely 18 months, I reckon, since things happened sort of last year. Acknowledging sort of where you're at. My barber said it to me. I think I told you this. I was at my barber now. I was going through some shit one week, and he was giving me a haircut. And he's like this like spiritual, bike riding, yoga doing Italian, 60-year-old Italian dude, right? And he's cut my hair, and I was like, dude, I'm going through stuff, I don't know what to do. And he looks at me like in the mirror, and he's like, you need to be brutally honest with yourself. And I was like, I do. And from that, it's fucking changed there. So that's huge. There's a lot on that. You know, a lot of people aren't able to be that honest with themselves before they're honest with other people. You know what I mean? Like, and like you said, that take that power away from others. That one used against there's an awesome, I was gonna say huge. There's an awesome interview with Power 92, 97 FM, and Kevin Hart, when he was going through all his, like, you know, Vegas, cheating on his wife and all that kind of shit. And Charlemagne just got at it. Like, we got this, we got that, don't you feel? And he's like, I own it. You know, I own it. You can't, there's no power in it. And then goes and makes a Netflix special, makes some money off it. So,
yeah, Kevin Hart, that's a really good point about Kevin Hart, man, because he's gone through like a few of that. And because he got extorted by his best friend too. Then he said, instead of just giving him the money, which he obviously had to do, he's like, no, fuck that. Like, I'm going to just be honest about it. And then even afterwards, like his stand-up routines, like he's incorporated like that into his routine. He's just like, yeah, man, like, if I say about, oh, I don't know what went wrong with my marriage, like, oh, yeah, that's right, yeah, I cheated. So that's like, you know, like, it's just, honestly, but you can't hurt him because he's the one being honest about it. Like, yeah, I did it. Like, yeah, you're going to judge me. Yeah, you're going to talk shit about it. I don't give a fuck, man. Like, I've done it and own up to it. It is what it is. Have you found that after doing that, when, like, you talk to your barber, like, it's helped you out a bunch?
Oh, dude, it's been huge. Like, so we were on that kind of level beforehand. I think I've been going in for about 7 years now, you know, and he's kept me looking fresh, right? But at that point, we'd both kind of grown through this like, you know, he knew all my experience up until then, and so then I was comfortable first of all having that conversation with him about what was going on, and then for him to say that. So, and then since then, it's been massive because I incorporated that into like relationships I've been in or lifestyle stuff, business, whatever it's been. And it's definitely changed, you know. So probably two pivotal moments in my time have been when I was at Fitness First. So we're talking probably 2009. I was given an audio series by Jim Rohn, and that completely changed my perspective on values in life and how you look at things. And then last year, you know, two massive points of change that have helped me evolve. You know what I mean? And take that step further. So, and that then filters down to everything. You know what I mean? But I'll remember that forever. Like, just the look this guy gave me. You! And I was like, all right, sick.
Italians are good at that.
Oh my God. And one has got scissors in his hand. You don't mess with that.
Like he wasn't.
No, that's...
Yeah, I know, right? So I think I hope that answered the question then. But yeah, massive.
No, that's cool, man. No, it's really good to hear. Really cool.
So a bit of a gear shift and a change of direction here. Being a professional basketballer, you've been watching the Jordan doco on Netflix?
I'm almost done with the second episode, so I sort of got onto it late, just because I wanted it to sort of develop a bit. I didn't want to watch it religiously, like week by week. And I sort of watched it while I stretched and stuff like that. But it's been really interesting, man. Like, I've enjoyed it so far. Have you? I'm sure you're well further ahead than I am on it.
Yeah, I'm that person that's like 5:30.
yeah, no, that's cool. I know that a lot of people were excited for it, and like, it is cool, you know, like it's cool to actually just get, like, I had my opinions about Jordan as a person, like, man, like, how could he, you know, you hear about how he's such a dick and everything like that, but you sort of for one, watching it, I was like, respect how much he just actually does things because he wants to do it, not because that's what's expected of him.
Yeah.
And two, just seeing like how much he was just a world icon and like how famous he was. Like, you have to turn into that person there because because if you allow people to, if he was trying to be the nice guy and, you know, give his time to this person, it would never stop. He would he'd die basically of exhaustion, you know? So he had to become this sort of person to sort of, to function properly. And just to see like how he thought and the way he did things has actually been really eye-opening, like really cool. Like, I really enjoyed it. Well, just like his obsession with, I always thought with Jordan, like his obsession was born into that insecurity, which I'm not a big fan of, right? So like, if you look at every Jordan docker, and if you look at his Hall of Fame well, we'll get to the acceptance speech, but if you look at every docker about Jordan, his whole wanting to be the best thing was born from getting cut from a fucking high school team when he was a sophomore. And that spurred him onto it. So that's the story. It's like that spurred him. It's that. And then he hit the shot at North Carolina, and that gave him the confidence to know that he was good enough to do whatever he wanted. Which that part's cool. I love that. It's like you hit a massive shot to basically win the national championship. It's like he's like, no, that's what I went from, you know, Mike to Michael Jordan. Like, I have that confidence and I could do it. I was like, that's cool. Like, puts in the work, hits a massive shot, has that confidence, love that. But the whole idea of wanting to become the best because he got cut from a team, it's like, it's wild. Like, if you looked at that situation from the perspective, probably, like, obviously we weren't there, but he was like 5'3" like, or something like, he was like 5'5" or something like that. And he was a sophomore trying to make the varsity team, which the varsity team's usually the people that play in that are seniors and occasionally juniors, you know? So in reality, it wasn't like he wasn't good enough. It's just like, that's probably expected. Like, as a sophomore, if you're small, you're not going to make that team. But he managed to reframe that in a way that, nah, fuck that. Like, I'm going to show everyone that I'm way better than that. And that sort of continued across his career. And like, you saw that with the Hall of Fame acceptance speech he had. During the speech, he brought that guy, that coach who didn't pick him, up on stage with him and basically said, yeah, like, how's it feel now? Like, you didn't pick me when I was 14 years old. Here I am at 50, become the world's best player. How do you feel? And then, like, in his speech, taking jabs at people who didn't believe in him and stuff like that. Like, looking from it, I could understand, like, yes, that anger and that constant motivation and stuff fueled him to every day just be as amazing as he was and work his ass off and do things that no one else wanted to do. But there's what level of peace do you arrive at with that? You know what I mean? At the end of his career, how do you feel? Like, yes, you've done all this great shit, you've earned all this money and stuff, and that's awesome. But each day, if he's waking up, he's still angry about it, still bitter about it. And what's it all really for? You know, doesn't. Yeah.
I kind of get the idea. Sorry, go on.
No, go ahead. No.
As I say, I kind of get that. Obviously, we're a bit further on, but I'm not going to go into that. But I kind of get the idea, and I don't know if you would feel this as well, that initially he's put on this avatar that's then become him, you know, as that time's gone on, which that's the development what I find interesting. You know what I mean? Like, it's real easy, and I'd say this to Murph a lot, like, me at the gym is similar to what I'm like in my normal life, but there's an avatar you put on. There's a persona that you play with, and, you know, whether it's at the gym or sporting pursuits or in work, whatever it may be, and then you can switch off from that and become something different, you know. And it's interesting to watch the doco and, you know, read the books and whatnot, that, okay, everyone takes that, he got cut from the team, so he then worked hard and then fucking did that, right? But I'm like, okay, got cut from the team, he's devastated, he's put on the front, obviously he's worked hard and got to there, but then at what point has that become who he is? And was that him beforehand? You know, I don't get that sense that there's a decent amount of stuff, but not like an intense, like, volumetric stuff about his childhood, right? And so, was he like that as a kid growing up, or was it always like, okay, you always were second best to your brothers? And
he did talk about his brothers used to beat him regularly in the backyard basketball court. I think his dad said, you know, I think his dad put him down a lot by saying, "Go back in the house with your mum. You're never going to be a worker, a trade sort of person.
Yeah.
You know, go over there. We don't want you out here with us," sort of thing. I think he was always having to prove himself to someone at some point throughout his whole, I guess, amateur leading up to his professional career. And as you said, when he hit that shot in North Carolina, he sort of went from Mike to Michael. I mean, okay, now I've done it. But I think, as you said, it's always been with him for the rest of his career as, see, I proved you wrong. See this? Now look at me. Yeah, see this now?
Yeah.
But at the same time, if it works...
Yeah, but
No,
obviously it works. But like, you know...
No, it did work, man. Like, he's obviously, like, an innate competitiveness that was just, like, absurd, you know? Like, him and his brothers just had this competitiveness nature that was just absurd from the looks of it. And, like, I'm speaking of speculation because I don't know him. I've never been around him. I don't know. And, yeah, like, he even hinted at that during the interview in, like, the second episode, saying, you know, I did a lot of things, then just started pressing dad because so each thing that he did was just like he says, proving himself to his dad. But, like, at the end of the day, man, isn't that pretty sad, right? Like, you get to be an adult and you're still trying to vie for your daddy's love. And then what happened when his dad got murdered too, right? Like, then what? Like, and then that's why he went to baseball, because he's like, this is what dad would have wanted. Like, that's not, I mean, he might have come to peace with this time. He might have done work. I don't know, you know, but it just seems that it has worked. And he's put on that avatar and became here. And that's awesome. Like, what works is what works. But there's the beautiful advantages of it, that he became so famous and he did these great things about. He changed the game. He became an icon. His name will forever be known with basketball. He's made all this money and everything like that. But there's also everything's got a light and a dark side, right? So the dark side of that is that never enough, or he's still chasing his dad's love, or he hasn't come to peace with it, or every day is like that avatars him for every day he's angry at something, or I don't know it, you know. But there is a reality that you can't have the good without the bad, right? Like, there's got to be some sort of payoff from that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I find this quite interesting because in the last one that we did, we talked about Phil Jackson bringing in the mindfulness subjects, right, into the team. And in like through the story, it's like, you know, Phil Jackson made it from, you know, pass the ball to Michael to like the whole team could succeed, right? But I started thinking about, okay, well, what aspect? So the two things we don't hear about a lot with any Michael Jordan stuff is his wife and his meditations and mindfulness stuff. And those two things to me are key. You know, there's only one sentence in the thing so far about his wife or whatever. And she would have been a major influence in things he's doing.
Yeah.
You know, like, had to be. Like,
the first wife or second wife?
The wife.
So,
Wife.
The one that was, the one that he was with, obviously. I agree. Yeah, I 100% agree. And that's actually it's funny, we're learning about this in psychology at this stage, and even in statistics. Like, when you're doing a research, you're trying to formulate like a research and question and your hypothesis, and when you basically drawing conclusions from your research, and one of the areas you can do that is called reductionism, where you look at an individual and then you scale it up. So basically saying, because of Michael Jordan being who he is, he achieved, just solely because of Michael Jordan being Michael Jordan, he achieved all of this, and he became this global phenomenon. When in reality, there's a lot of there's Michael Jordan being Michael Jordan is a big part of it, but there's so many other factors to it. And like you pointed out, like, his wife's a huge part of that. Like, how can he do that with a wife and kids unless his wife is able to be like, Michael, you go ahead and you do what you need to do. I'm going to be at home looking after the kids. Like, you don't have to worry about sort of any of this shit. Or he comes home, vents to her about it. She gives him some advice or something like that, you know. But you'd never ever hear about it. It's all just, no, Michael did it off the greatness of his own back, you know. It just isn't reality. Like, he was amazing, and absolutely, but there's so many other factors that went into it. There's Scottie Pippen, there's Phil Jackson, you know, like there's people there that helped him become who he is, you know.
I mean, there's still 4 episodes left. So there might be a whole episode based on the wife.
Yeah, that's true.
Whole books with no wife. You know what I mean? Like whole books written about Michael Jordan, and then like
We'll see.
it's like let's just put that to the side. Like that intrigues me.
Maybe like the last episode is dedicated to it.
We'll see. We'll see.
Maybe.
We'll see.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, maybe it is.
But let us know what you think of the rest of them when you get through them all.
Yeah, for sure. No, I'll definitely be checking it out. It's been interesting though, man. It's been cool.
Yeah, there's some new stories. I mean, I've heard most of the Jordan stories that are out there, but there's some new shit coming through, and it's got me glued. Put that way, got me glued.
Yeah.
Anything will go.
Yeah, I like seeing them just at practice and like how they interact with each other before and after games and stuff like that. It's like pretty cool because you realize like whether it's the NBA or the NBL, like Europe or whatever, like everyone does the same shit basically. You wake up, you go practice, you talk to your teammates, you interact. You go to the hotel if you're on the road, you bum around for a bit, then you go to the games and it's time to play. And then yeah, it's the same sort of shit. So you can sort of relate to like what they're doing and how they're sort of doing it because you're basically going through the same thing, just on obviously a completely different scale.
Yeah. Do you have that many people outside your hotel room waiting for you?
Yeah, that too. Obviously, yeah. I walk out, I have to bat off all the women that are there and all the media reporters and stuff like that just to get down to breakfast. So yeah, it's tough. Yeah. Someone's got to do it, I guess.
Do it add all the sunshine of the Brisbane sky and.
That's right. Yeah.
You're hurting on this Brisbane. I can feel it coming from you.
Maybe it's a subtle message. Brisbane's got a spot for an S&C coach. Very good.
I'm good, man.
You covered your notes?
I got mine. I had like a whole bunch of notes from my last episode. We covered them. We're good.
All right. Yeah, sweet. No, I'm good. Oh, I was glad to chat to you guys. Glad you guys are doing all right. Everything, how's like business and stuff been going for you fellas? Just have to get creative.
We've had, I guess, the biggest word that we've been using is pivot. We've had to just pivot what we did. So, I mean, we use this medium, Zoom. So I do some online, like one-on-one sessions and boot camp style sessions with this. I still see some clients down at the park, or I have one client at a time here at home, just like a gym in the garage. You make it work. I mean, as we've spoken about, we've both been smart with money. Budgeting and whatever, so I'm not struggling. I've got money on the side I can just stay alive with for a while, and I've got no loans, which is fantastic. So I just whatever money's coming in goes towards what I need to pay. That
history has helped. You know what I mean? Like historically, that's who we are. Individually is like not massive spenders. And so if you have financial intelligence, you can do this. For myself, I basically turned the gym into a warehouse and just lease equipment out. So, because we can't open gyms. So, it was they announced the closure of the gyms on Sunday night. By Monday night, I had an inventory of all the equipment in the gym. It was about 200 and something items. Pricing, lease agreements for people and whatnot. And then by, I think it was 3 a.m. Monday night, Tuesday morning, I had emails out to everyone. And then by the end of that week, half the gear had gone, so, and that allowed us to cover, I cover costs over that time period. So it looks like where we're at now is probably within the next 4 weeks. I'm assuming the gym will be open again. The gyms will probably be the last things to open. Our first things to close, last things to open, them and nightclubs. 100%.
Yeah. But yeah, you guys, it's looking good where like gyms are going to be opening, like you said, at some stage pretty soon. That's encouraging because the way obviously how quickly everything got shut down and the doom and gloom, it made it seem like shit was going to be like we're going to be stuck for like 6 months like this,
Yeah, I think especially in Adelaide now, we're 2 weeks without a single case. So
that's awesome.
Hopefully, within the next, as you said, 3-4 weeks, everything's opened up again and we start moving forward.
I wonder if when it opens back up, if there is like a small outbreak again, if the government's like, no, let's just let it ride, or if they shut everyone back down again, I think obviously,
But as long as everyone's intelligent about it, doesn't go straight into, massive orgies or.
Yeah.
Should be fine.
Is that the first thing that comes to your mind?
I thought, when are people the closest? And that's what comes.
It's been a tough time.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. just in the park off of South Terrace, right? Like just huge orgies and that.
You know what that place like, Harney Street?
Yeah.
You know what? I think on that note, on the huge orgy note, it's been an absolute fantastic pleasure to talk to you.
As
Once
always.
Yeah,
again.
thanks. Yeah, no, thanks, guys. It's good to see you guys again, too.
And look after yourself. We'll be in contact.
All right, sounds good, man. Thanks,
Thanks,
fellas.
man.
Take care. Bye.
Yeah.
Do the exit?
What's the exit?
Do we do an exit? We don't really do an exit, do we?
Let's do this one.
I don't know if we
I've got a big fat drum. I've got a big fat drum. Pounding so bad, I've got a big fat drum. Big fat drum. I've got a big fat.